Australian made and owned, Hi-Tech Oils is one of the largest oil blenders in Australia with a truly national profile, supplying an extensive range of oils, coolant, grease, batteries and much more for all businesses and consumer needs. Choose Hi-Tech Oils for peace of mind.
On today's show, we return to Sydney Dragway out at Eastern Creek for our continued opening round coverage of the 2019-20 400 Thunder season. It's the Atlantic Oil's East Coast Thunder, and today we bring you all the action from Pro Bike plus the 400 Thunder Sportsman Series. Then we head down the highway to Wynn Stadium in Wollongong as the top Supercross riders from Australia and the world do battle for championship supremacy with round 3 of the Australian Supercross Championship. This is Speedweek.
Welcome to Sydney Dragway with the Atlantic Oil's East Coast Thunder. We've already seen some great action from the Pro Stock cars, the Pro Alcohol cars. It's all about two wheels today. We've got the Pro Bike category, we've got some top bike action, and we're going to see some sportsman racing from the other classes as well. It's hot and hazy here at Sydney Dragway, but Mark, the Pro Bikes, it is going to be an interesting battle to start the season this year.
And it's interesting you say that, Rob, because our defending 400 Thunder champion in the Pro Bike Series, Ryan Learmont, is not here at Sydney Dragway for the opening event. Glenn Worcester, that finished the season off in second place, he is, as we look through the way the series finished last season, Lockie Owen third, Daniel Rabnott fourth, Luke Crowley, Mr. 6-second man himself, in fifth position.
Well, we've got a small but quality field here. We're looking at Q1. Now, why we're calling it qualifying one, because it is a small field at this opening round. It will be run on the 400 Thunder all-run 3-round format. So, effectively, these 3 qualifying sessions on Friday are virtually a test session. But the guys are going to take them pretty seriously because they're after the setup data, aren't they?
Exactly, they're after the data. But the good thing about these qualifying sessions, from test sessions you may say, there's no pressure on the team. So these guys can come out, have some fun, do something maybe they wouldn't normally do if it was under the pressure stakes of qualifying here. Tony Frost on the start line, his first time out in Pro Bike. Q1, test 1.
The track's shown pretty good condition considering the heat through qualifying that we've seen so far. He's rolled it off the throttle a little bit early, and he's just going to record an 8.87, 178 kilometres an hour, but, well, that kicks things off in Pro Bike.
Yeah, look at the Sunoco replay. The interesting thing with Tony Frost is the last time out he was racing this bike in competition bike here at Sydney Dragway, he actually took a bit of a tumble through the trap, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was just a, you know what, we'll get down to about 1,000-foot roll off, just get the feelings back here on the bike, because it is the first time back at Sydney Dragway for the team, and they roll through for an 8-second pass.
Yeah, you can see him actually roll off that throttle at the 1,000-foot or 300-metre marker. Now, Glenn Worcester, he's in good shape. He finished second in the championship, as you said. Daniel Rabnott on screen now. And both of these guys, I think, are in a position to score some good points here this weekend.
Pro Bike this weekend, just like their Pro Stock counterparts in the sedans, have had to change their fuel over this season as well. So they were running the old leaded fuel. Now the government has forced the changes to the teams. They've got to go to the unleaded side of things. So this is the first time out for a lot of these bikes as well. A lot of these guys have done changes in the off-season. So this testing is pretty vital for some of these teams as well with the change of fuel.
Rabnot was out smartly, and then we see that Glenn Worcester takes over. 7:33, 299 kilometres an hour, good speed, and a 7:65 for Daniel Rabnot.
Yeah, absolutely, Neil Rabnot down there. You were sort of like, the expression on your face doesn't say you're that impressed at this time of day, Neil.
Oh, it was first run. We've done a few changes since last meeting. We did one run at Bunaraby last weekend just to make sure everything worked, and then brought it down. So that's first run, work it out from there.
Everything's plugged in, everything's bolted on. That's all you really wanted to work out. Good to have you here, mate.
Just got to go quicker.
Exactly right, Neil Rabnot. Guys, back to you.
Now, what drag racing crew chief doesn't say all we need to do now is go quicker?
Well, the thing is, with the changes of fuel and some of these bikes not getting testing done, they're worried about hurting the engine down track, so they're just doing half track, maybe half track past 1,000 foot, make sure the engine's okay and it's not eating itself up, and then they'll go back and maybe change a few jets or whatever they need to do on the bikes, and hopefully be okay next pass.
Well, on board there with Glenn Worcester, and something I just picked up a moment ago too was we mentioned it's hot here. How hot? Try Bill Creeley, our starters, wearing a cool suit out there. We're throwing the switch on the Christmas tree. Worcester's quickest, 7:33. Rabnot, 7:65. Tony Frost, 8:87. That's all we saw in the first session. I think they knew it was going to be hot. Hey, let's get down to Benny Bishop on the start line.
Yeah, absolutely. Just peppering the throttle, so to speak. How good's that segue? Because these guys, we're about to meet the CEO. As Mario Raham, this guy, everywhere I see in different venues, sporting venues around Sydney, I'm starting to see this logo pop up everywhere. Great to have you here, mate. Welcome, and thank you so much for your support, this venue and the sport as well. And rumour has it you've just signed another deal.
Yeah, mate, we've just signed up another 3-year deal with the track, and the guys have been fantastic. The level of professionalism, the level of crowds, and just the sheer ambience that they create here is second to none. I've got a soft spot for cars, and I think Pepper is always known for being the best at what it does, which is home loans, car loans and personal loans. So we have a little cheeky thing at home saying every guy wants an Australian dream is to own a home, but really it's just a How's a drag car.
Yeah, exactly right. Whatever's in the garage, that's the thing. And that's when you guys, I guess, it's that personal touch where you understand that little bit more micro needs of the consumer. That's where you guys specialise.
It is, and Western Sydney is our heartland, so we service that probably more than any other lender in the country in the non-bank space. So we've got a real good target. We love the people because we believe in real life situations. We do things that the banks won't do. So to your point, we get personal. And the only way to do that is to get to know our customers.
As we head into Q2 of Pro Bike here at the Atlantic Oils East Coast Thunder, it's good to see the corporate backing coming into the sport of 400 Thunder Championship drag racing increasingly, both here at Sydney Dragway and up at Willowbank Raceway in Queensland. And the championship's going to be a really, really cool thing to follow through the season, as these guys, well, isn't it cool to see Frosty into Pro Bike?
It is really good to see Tony Frosty move in. He is a little bit of a disadvantage to the other bike teams. His engine is a little bit smaller. It does dip into the 7-second zone, so he hasn't got the performance of the other bikes, but he's going to be nipping at the heels, hoping that maybe they might make a mistake and he can get a round win. First time out for the weekend, Scott White beside him on the white bike, moving into stage as well. It's one of the quicker bikes. Has run into the low 7-second zone. It is hot conditions here at Sydney Dragway. It's cooled off from that first test session we saw earlier today. The track temp's around 50 degrees at the moment for the bikes.
Just puts that front wheel in the beams. Frost wasn't worried about any sort of, I think he's rolled the beams here. It's got a red light.
He actually got timed out.
So there you go, Scott White with a 7:31, 289 kilometres an hour first up. Gets a little bit wild in the braking area, but Tony Frost just not getting his front wheel in the start beam in time.
No, he was in pre-stage and he only got 7 seconds to get the bike into stage.
Awesome.
You can see Scott White was in full stage, but Tony Frost didn't get his bike into stage on time. Gets timed out, no time recorded for him, but Scott White, quickest pass so far this weekend in Pro Bike.
Well, that's thrown down a little bit to the next pair coming up. Daniel Rabnot. We heard that they've only done one systems check pass before heading to Sydney Dragway. That's the shot from Glenn Worcester's Forceware Components bike.
Yeah, Glenn Worcester had about 6 passes on the new combo before coming here to Sydney Dragway, so they're still learning what the engine wants and all that as well. Gets out very strong. Glenn Worcester, 4.55 seconds to half track. This is a good pass from the team.
Rabnot, though, over the centre line, taking out some timing blocks. 7:29, only 2:50. He was off at way early, Mark.
Way early for Glenn Worcester. Let's watch the Sunoco replay. You can see Glenn Worcester got out real strong to half track. That was a 7-1, maybe a high 7-0 pass. Rabnot, though, over the centre line. Just got out of the groove a little bit, couldn't bring the bike back in. Rolls off the throttle. You can see Rabnot to the right of screen just going towards the centre line. Tried to shift and takes out both blocks there. And he gets no time recorded as well.
So at the moment, Glenn Worcester, 7:29, just ahead of Scott White, 7:31. Daniel Rabnot, 7:65, with some problems. And Tony Frost hasn't put down a representative one yet. He hasn't got to the finish line under power at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad event, really, East Coast Thunder, to have your business name attached to. Steve from Atlantic Oils, I can just tell, you've already told me, you're so proud to be a part of this. Well done.
Very proud to be a part of Sydney Dragway and the drag racing community. And we've signed up for the East Coast Thunder for 3 years. The Atlantic East Coast Thunder from now on.
That is so cool, man. And the way that you've leveraged this and brought out, and you've brought so many people as well. It's so good to have you here. You obviously believe in the crowd that this sort of venue draws.
I know. These are our clients. I mean, these are the sort of people that we are, they're our bread and butter. This is how we make our living. And I'm glad to be part of it all.
Now we're starting to talk about new products.
Our newest, so we don't just do car racing oils, we do one of the latest diesel technology oils for the new particulate filter stuff and heavy vehicle haulage. So this is our Pro Glide Extreme. It's a CK4 diesel oil. It's designed for, 50,000 K service intervals, high-end product, well priced in there, and it will give you a bigger bang for your buck than any of the opposition products.
It really is amazing because I guess what we're used to in this world is being associated with the motorsport-based oils, but you guys actually probably make your bread and butter more with the man on the land.
Oh, indeed. I mean, we're happy to supply the Rapizzata's racing oils, and that's terrific, but we can't make a living without, the heavy industry, earth-moving, the man on the land, and the automotive sector in general.
Well, at a drag strip, the only oil you ever want to see on the start line is a sponsor's oil still in the containers, and we certainly do thank Atlantic Oils for their support of this, the East Coast Thunder, where the sun has set Friday night. It has started to cool down a little bit as we catch up with the action of Q3. Really test sessions for these guys. They'll be running on the all-run 3-round system tomorrow. But still important to get the data going into, well, they'll be racing in these conditions tomorrow evening.
It is all about the data, especially for these two bikes here. Scott White, Daniel Rabnot. White goes through, runs a 7:53. Rabnot goes a 7:60. 280 kilometres an hour for Scott White. 265 kilometres an hour for Daniel Rabnot.
Yeah, Mark, I'd suggest that neither guy will be particularly happy with those runs.
No, you could just see there on the launch, Rob, that White had a little bit of hesitation there. Just a tiny one, just on the launcher as he got through. Look at the front-on shot.
Yeah, it took a while to get tucked down, both of them.
Yep.
And get in behind the fairing and reduce the aerodynamic drag of those bikes. A couple of tenths it's cost him on that run. Now here comes Glenn Worcester on the Foursquare Components bike. He's looked strong in his 2 passes so far. And beside him, of course, is Tony Frost.
Well, Frost has got good power on board. The engine's actually built by Trevor Birrell, obviously one of the names behind Pro Bike when it comes to engine building. But Glenn Worcester's the one that really interests me here. That second session run, the half track was very, very quick.
Tell you what, he grabbed a big advantage off the start line then with a good reaction time, and he is going to run 7:27. Quickest so far, 292 kilometres an hour, and an 8:24, 204 for Tony Frost. Once again, I think just rolled off that throttle early.
Look at the Sunoco replay. Tony Frost bike got out really nicely. You can see it going towards the left of the lane a little bit there on the groove. Front on, you'll see him go towards the centre line slightly. getting over there, starts to lean the bike back, but you see Glenn Worcester streaking away there, 7.27. I was expecting quicker time from Glenn Worcester in that session. He still is the quickest bike with that 7.27 second pass. Scott White with the 7.31. Daniel Rabnott 7.60. And Tony Frost rounds out the top 4 with an 8.24 so far. Next time out with the Pro Bikes, it will be racing, Rob.
Saturday, race day at Sydney Dragway for the Atlantic Oil East Coast Thunder. There's a good crowd rolling in as we head down to the start line. This is round 1 of Pro Bike. 400 Thunder Championship Series is now underway for these guys. They start scoring points right here, and we will be running these bikes on the 400 Thunder 3-round all-run system. They all come out to run over 3 rounds. The top 2 go to the final to fight out for the biggest share of points.
And the first pairing up here in Pro Bike, looking to get the first round win of the season. Closest to screen, Daniel Rabnott to take on Scott White.
Oh, Scott White just went nowhere. He was looking good in testing yesterday. Rabnott will get the first points to 7.58, 271 kilometres an hour. And Scott White just looking down at the bike, and it didn't go anywhere off the start line at all.
No, he launched and then it just sort of stopped in its tracks. On board with Scott White. This might tell us a little bit more. I'm not too sure. We can see Daniel Rabnott on the far side of the track there off, and
it just tried to launch and then stopped. Let's have another look at the Sunoco replay. Spun the tyre once and then the engine was just off. So he's looking as bemused as us. We're not sure what's gone on there. We move into the second race of round 1. Glenn Worcester for Foursquare Components up against Tony Frost. Worcester is the highest place in the championship from last year, so virtually he comes in here as the number 1 seed for this round, as Ryan Lemont, the defending champ from Perth, is not at this event.
You can see Tony Frost just moving his bike, edging it into stage nice and shallow. Worcester out really strong to 60 foot, 1.07 seconds.
That's quick, 7.10, 302 kilometres an hour, beats an 8.08 at 2.24. Ben's on the line with Pro Bike guru Trevor Burrell.
Yeah, absolutely, Trevor. We came down to you in the pits earlier, mate. You guys were absolutely thrashing, but it was all worth it.
Yeah, no, it's unbelievable. Last run last night, we broke an output shaft, smashed the sprocket, fired it up today, and we had an oil leak, so it's been a big thrash. But thank you to the Foursquare Group and Western Sydney. Great place.
Great job. Well, Chris Matheson's on the line now, but let's go down to the deep end.
Daniel Rabnott, mate, you are absolutely pumped to be back here at the East Coast Thunder. Bike's going nicely. 6.58 for you. Oh, sorry, 7.58. Well, yeah, 6.58 is pretty exciting.
Yeah, no, it's good, mate. We just, I've got the wrong gearing on at the moment. We've changed to a 16-inch rear wheel, and we just obviously didn't do the maths good enough. And I'm just trying to make it go with that gearing as it's got. So it's going down the track, but yeah.
Well, that's good. We'll get you out for another round.
Righto, mate. Thank you. Cheers.
Let's have another look at this run of Glenn Worcester's, because quickest we've seen so far, 7.10, the heat of the day. That shows some pretty good form, Mark.
That is a really good pass in the heat of the day. You're right. It was the quickest 60 foot we've seen of the day. It was the quickest pass that we've seen of the weekend so far. But what interests me, it wasn't as quick to half track as was yesterday, so he's still got more potential.
Yeah, mate, we're down here with the last pairing of Pro Bike in round number 1, and alongside me the winner. We'll start with the winner here. You've done really well, 7.10. You're finding some more performance in the bike.
Yeah, look, it's been a mad slog, as you guys know. Last night, this thing was totally in bits, and we didn't know how we were going to go. We knew it was getting there, but I didn't actually expect that. I just thought I'd go with it, and if it went, and it went really well. So hopefully we can keep that up our herd.
Tony, it's fantastic to have you here in Pro Bike. You're having a great time?
Oh, I'm having a ball. Yeah, I just stepped up. The boys asked me to come up, and I thought I'd help the boys out. I'll get along with them well because I run comp. But enjoying it. It's a big learning curve. We've only got a little baby here of Trevor's engines, only a 1200cc, so it's a bit hard running against the big guys. But it's all experience, and I love being back at Sydney. It's been a long time since I've been back here, but enjoying it. Hopefully we pick up some money and we'll get a bigger motor and play with the big boys.
Well, there's what we've got points-wise after round 1. Glenn Worcester, 28. That's perfect for him. Daniel Rabnott, 27. Frost on 11, White on 5 with some work to do in the pits, I'd suggest. As we take a look at Chris Matheson on the Nitro Voodoo. We don't have a top bike field here at the Atlantic Oil East Coast Thunder, but Chris is taking the opportunity to get some testing in on, in race conditions with this awesome top bike.
That's the best time to test a bike as well. At a race meet, on a prep track, especially when you've got a bike like Chris Matheson, you want maximum traction. But it's going to be tough in these conditions. It is like about 55 degrees track temperature at the moment when you've got a bike with the horsepower caliber of Chris Matheson. It's very tricky to get these bikes off the line. So it's about taming that horsepower right now. I don't think we're going to see anything record breaking, but it's all about learning for the team, tame the bike down, see if they can get down a hot track like this for the next round of top bike in the championship.
Yeah, to give some exposure to his sponsors, Performance Wholesale, Rocket Industries, etc. And for Chris, I mean, this fuel-injected, supercharged, nitromethane burning bike produces more horsepower that he can actually use in the first half of the racetrack. And he's got to tame it down, but still end up with a quick enough half-track elapsed time that hopefully he can break that 5-second barrier that he's been chasing so long here in Australia. Whoa! That stuck for about, 15 centimetres, and then that horsepower said to the tyre, I've got you beat.
He coasted on through there for a 12-second pass, Chris Matheson. Well, it is testing, and that's when you want to try some things. So that didn't work. Next time out, let's see what can happen.
Well, round one's run and done. After the break, we're going to be back with round 2 of Pro Bike, but with some car action as well. We've got the semi-finals of Top Sportsman. We've got the semi-finals of Supercharged Outlaws. Don't go away. Welcome back to Sydney Dragway. We're at the Atlantic Oil's East Coast Thunder. We are concentrating on Pro Bike today, but we're moving into a little bit of car action. It's semi-finals time of Supercharged Outlaws, and this is the opening round of the championship for this category. Josh Fletcher from Queensland in the dragster to take on Peter Byrne in this Supercharged Altereds. These guys run on handicap, Mark.
Yeah, basically what that means is these guys actually nominate a time. So in Josh Fletcher's case, it'll be in the 7-second zone. And the time that they nominate, they can't go quicker than. So the slower car will get the head start. The quicker car will do the chasing.
That time they nominate, we call a dial-in. Josh Fletcher is dialed in at 7:29, Byrne at a 6:47. So 0.82 of a second start to the dragster on the right of screen. Then it's up to Byrne to chase him down normally, but Fletcher's red lit. By 1,000th of a second, he went too soon. He gets a red light. Peter Byrne wins it with a 6.50. Not too far over that 6.47 dial-in of his.
Yeah, 300ths of a second over the dial-in. Peter Byrne's pass is actually a really good run. 020 light, 300ths over the dial-in. That was going to be tough to beat anyway. Look at the crew.
I think they're happy the win light's on already. But yeah, Josh Fletcher, when you go too soon by 1,000th of a second, he saw the red light and just got off the throttle and will be saying all sorts of things to himself right at this point in time.
He does get semi-final points though. Paul Byrne will go through to the final where he will face off against one of these drivers here, Paul Stephen, closest to screen to take on Lyle Gilmore in the Alter. Have a look at the hot rod of Paul Stephen's car though. This thing is dialed in 6.80 seconds. That is tough car. The Altered though of Lyle Gilmore has dialed in 7.12 seconds, so he will leave first, and the hot rod of Paul Stephen to chase him down.
Yeah, keep an eye on the lights. You'll see on the left of screen, the amber lights will come down 0.32 of a second. See if you can pick that on screen. There you've got it. Big whole shot reaction advantage to Paul Stephen. Gilmore was late. Oh, that's going to be close on the finish line. 7:07.
Paul Stevens gets a win here by absolutely nothing across the finish line. It's a whole shot win to Paul Stevens here. have a look at it, I think Gilmore might have actually backed off, which allowed Stevens to get past him, because Stevens' car he was mixing up cylinders off the start line. He ran off the dial line, but you can see the butterfly shut on Gilmore's altered and allows the hot rod of Stevens to get past him for the win.
We've got the semi-final of Top Sportsman coming up, but before then, let's have a look back at the quarterfinals and see how these guys got through to contest this one. Jason Stairs to take on Tony Wyatt. Stairs is in the red and white Corvette. Wyatt from Queensland, he's dialed in at an 8:47, getting, 1.27 seconds handicap start from Stairs.
And the whole shot goes to Jason Stairs. He goes 004 on the tree. He's got 600s up his sleeve reaction time-wise and gets the win. Goes 7:22 on his 7:20. Great package from Stairs in the Corvette.
Well, Tony Wyatt, 6th hour over his dial-in, but the reaction time cost him. Next up, Matt Clark in the Calais took on Steve Horvat in the Monaro. Difference in the dial-ins, only 0.07 of a second. The start to go to Clark.
Yeah, absolutely nothing. Almost heads up. And the reaction time advantage went to Matt Clark on this run. He had 300s almost on the tree over Steve Horvat and took the Calais through for the win, running an 8:67 on his 8:59 to go through the semi-finals.
That earned Clark the opportunity to race the winner of our next quarterfinal, which saw Daniel Morris in the Statesman left of screen from Queensland up against the local Neil Constantinou in this Mustang.
Yeah, Neil Constantinou, the quicker of the two cars in the Mustang. He's dialing at 7.99 seconds, half a second slower. Daniel Morris dialing in 8.45 seconds, so he will lead first in the Statesman.
Daniel Morris, a very well-credentialed racer from Queensland. 0.34 light to an 0.33. There was only 1,000ths difference in the reaction time.
Try and pick it across the finish line there. You couldn't. It was Neil Constantinou getting the win with an 8.00, 100th over his dial in there, and Daniel Morris running an 8.43 breakout there to hand that win, where Constantinou goes through to the semi-finals.
Our reigning champion in the Top Sportsman category, Paul DeBlane, had the solo in the quarterfinal. This is a perfect opportunity to test out your dial-in. He was sharp off the reaction time with an 0.29.
Yeah, dialed in 8.57 seconds. He took the car through for an 8.61, so a little bit off the dial, and probably see that tighten up in the semi-finals.
So that was our quarterfinals. That's how these four races made it through to this point in time. Semi-finals of Top Sportsman at the Atlantic Oil's East Coast Thunder, Sydney Dragway. Matt Clark in the Calais to take on Neil Constantinou in the Mustang. Constantinou dials in at a 7.97, Clark at an 8.60, so he'll get 0.63 of a second handicap start in this race. It's up to Neil Constantinou to try and run him down without running quicker than that 7.97 dial-in.
Well, we look at the reaction times there. Clark has got 0.03 of a second advantage, but it's going to be Neil Constantinou getting the win. He was closer to the dial in 8.01 seconds, 279 kilometres an hour, over Matt Clark's 8.68 seconds from the Calais. He overcomes that reaction time advantage by 0.03 of a second from Matt Clark and gets the win. That's why you need to be good at both ends of the racetrack in sportsman racing. You need to be close to that dial in. You need to be good on the reaction time as well, and you'll get more wins than losses.
What this led to on our Sunoco replay, keep an eye on that last timing block on the centre of the track. Constantinou got there ahead by 35,000ths of a second. That's why we love this Top Sportsman, sportsman style handicap racing. The finishes are just phenomenal.
This is a big race here in this semi-final matchup. Jason Stairs has been in two finals from two starts this season, and Top Sportsman has a win and a runner-up, currently leading the Top Sportsman Championship in the 400 Thunder Series, taking on the reigning, defending national champion in Paul DeBlane. Dial-ins this time around. DeBlane in the Ute will lead first. He's dialing at 8.59 seconds. Jason Stairs in the Corvette dialing at 7.20 seconds. Big head start for the Ute.
1.39 seconds is a huge handicap in Top Sportsman. DeBlane got out in front with an 0.25 reaction time. I don't think Stairs can get him. And doesn't. DeBlane at 8.60 on his 8.59 gets the win ahead of a 7.21 on a 7.20. Another cracking race.
Yeah, Jason Stairs streaks of finals appearances here, finishes in the semi-finals at the Atlantic Oils East Coast Thunder, but Paul DeBlane will go through to the final and race off for the 400 Thunder Christmas tree.
Yeah, you've got to say that DeBlane, the defending top sportsman champ, is looking very strong. I wouldn't rule out back-to-backs for him, that is for sure. 23 thousandths of a second was the winning margin that time. Really does throw up some great finishes, our sportsman style racing. As we move now back into our pro bike category, it is round 2. Daniel Rabnott moving forward on the Team NDR Suzuki. Just getting guided in by one of his crew guys to say this is exactly where on the start line we want you. Looking for the maximum traction. Tony Frost with some support also from Forceware Components. Really enjoying his first outing in the pro bike category.
Whole shot to Tony Frost in this pass.
Yeah, Rabnott's going to have too much horsepower though. Comes around him, runs 7.60, 269 kilometres an hour, and Frost an 8.06, 235 Ks.
Yeah, that's the quickest pass of the weekend for Tony Frost. 8.06 seconds. You can see the whole shot physically there. Gets out strong. Daniel Rabnott, as we heard from him earlier today, he's changed the size of the rear slick and the gear ratio is just not where they wanted. They get to half track really quick, but then it sort of starts to lay over from that point. So once they get their gear ratio right, combine it with what they're getting to half track, add a little bit more speed, we should see some quick ETs from Daniel Rabnott.
So Rabnott picks up the points. Now we're riding on board with Glenn Worcester. That's our onboard camera view, and what it shows us, Mark, is there's no Scott White in the other lane.
Yeah, I spoke to Scott White after their first round of racing. They've got some issues with their ratios in the gearbox. They're not happy with it, so they've decided to park the bike for the rest of the day, make some changes after the event, and make sure the bike is right and bring it out for the next one nice and strong.
Yeah, no use breaking it, that's for sure. So Glenn Worcester, he will pick up a win here, but he'll also be chasing low ET points because there's 8 points if you run the quickest pass of the round. This looks quick. This is very quick. 6.99, 304 kilometres an hour. The first 6-second pass in Australia on the unleaded fuel.
Wow, what a pass from Glenn Worcester. We've seen some potential earlier on in this weekend. 4.4 seconds to half track on this bike. I knew it was going to be quick, 6.99. And he becomes the second Australian to run a 6-second pass on a pro bike, a 6.99, joins Luke Crowley, and we also had our American visitor, Katie Sullivan, also run a 6-second pass, but it's all Glenn Worcester here.
Glenn Worcester, you are the second Australian, only the third time on Australian soil to go into the 6-second zone. You break that 7-second barrier, 6.99, congratulations.
Mate, look, it's not me, it's the team. Everyone, Forceware Group, all our sponsors, the guys this weekend, Clinton, Trev and Tone, everyone's just helped down there with borrowed stuff. And look, to go out and do that now, I'm stoked. And the team have been up for this for so long, so I'm just so happy for everyone that's helped so hard.
I'm absolutely delighted for Glenn Worcester on cracking into that 6-second barrier. He's on maximum points after 2 rounds, but that's still only 2 points ahead of Daniel Rabnott. So he's got to bring it home in round 3 if he wants to carry that lead in the championship into round 2 up at Willowbank Raceway on January 4. Now here's Chris Matheson back on the Nitro Voodoo top bike. Testing here at the Atlantic Oils East Coast Thunder, using race conditions at Sydney Dragway to take the opportunity to try and get on top of the tune-up on this massively powerful top fuel motorcycle.
The team would have looked at after that pass go, that first session that they came out, it was hot. This second session, it's a little bit cooler, so the track is going to be a little bit better for them, but it's still about taming this bike off the start line. So they know in that first session it was too aggressive. This session the track is better. Do they stick with what they had in the first session, try and get off the start line, or do they tame it down a little bit more? They're the sort of questions that the crew chief and Chris Matheson would be having back in the pits before they come out in this round.
Yeah, they wouldn't have had a lot of data to study because the bike only moved about 15 centimetres before it absolutely smoked the tyre. Looked like a second burnout. Have they got the balance right here? He is absolutely determined to become the first person in Australia to run a 5-second top fuel motorcycle pass. It's been done in Europe, it's been done in America. but it won't be done on this occasion. He smoked the tyre again, then went into a wheel stand on the wheelie bars, kind of rolled off the throttle, still runs a 720 at 281 kilometres an hour.
Can you imagine that on a bike, just rolling on and off the throttle? Look at the Sunoco replay here. He still goes 7.20 seconds, and almost identical to the first pass earlier today. But he recovered the bike this time, so it was probably about 30 centimetres this time, Rob. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he doubled the distance before it smoked the tyre, but he was determined to give it a crack, and when the bike recovered, he kept going. Well, he's going to have one more crack at that 5-second pass. It's going to come up after our ad break, as will the final of Pro Bike, and we're going to bring you the final of all of the sportsman categories of the Atlantic Oil East Coast Thunder. Welcome back to Sydney Dragway and the Atlantic Oil East Coast Thunder. We're about to move into our sportsman finals, the first of which we have got Pro Radial, Joe Gauci to take on Craig Hewitt, and this is a little bit different. They race over the 8th mile, or about 200 metres, Mark.
Yeah, they race the half track, but these cars have got crazy amount of horsepower. You're talking like the same sort of horsepower and sometimes exceeding that of the Pro Slammers, and they've got these little radial tyres on the back of the cars, and it is literally all about taming them off the start line and getting all this horsepower in as quick as you can possibly can before the half track markers, because these cars are nuts. They carry the wheels. The suspension setup is just crazy. These cars, the way they react and perform on track as well. Here we go, two of the quickest cars in Australia for the Pro Radial scene. Gauci to the right of screen, Hewitt to the left.
Gauci's using a fair bit of racetrack. That was close. Gauci, a 4:37 whole shot went over Craig Hewitt's 4:24. He was quicker in the reaction time.
He was. Look at the Sunoco replay here. You see the Mustang get out early on Hewitt there. That advantage he took to the finish line for the win. He was a 10th slower. Made a big move there half track for the 8th mile there. Joe Gauci gets the win over Craig Hewitt.
We move on to Modified Bike Eliminator final now. Joe Curry left a screen on the Harley Davidson up against Sean Ricketts. Now Ricketts, he's going to get a very skinny 0.08 of a second handicap start, but he's gone too soon with a red light. That's going to hand the win to Joe Curry.
Joe Curry gets the win. It was a red light by 28 thousandths of a second for Sean Ricketts. Curry goes 9.27, actually breaks out slightly, but doesn't matter. He's got the win here. Sean Ricketts goes 9.39 seconds on his bike beside him.
And let's have a look at the Sunoco replay. What I love watching here is the reaction of the crews behind the bike. On one side it's like damn, and the other side they start dancing long before the bike even gets to the 100 metre mark down the racetrack. Joe Curry on the Harley Davidson V-Rod takes out the crown in Modified Bike Eliminator.
Now we move into the final for Modified Eliminator, a class for dragsters and altereds and funny cars. It is a die-your-own bracket. We've got the dragster of Mitchell Luke to take on the altered of Paul Lynette. Lynette is going to dial in at 7.55 seconds in the altered. The dragster's dialing in at 7.22 seconds. The altered leaves first. He's got the whole shot by over 1/10 of a second. Can he convert it to a win? He's in front at the finish line. It's a double breakout. The lesser of the two goes to Paul Lynette. He gets the win with a 7.53. Mitchell Luke goes 7.18 on his 7.22 dial in. It was a double breakout. The lesser of the margins goes to Paul Lynette, and he gets the win.
So that's the whole key in our sportsman dial your own type handicap racing. You nominate your own dial in, the time you're going to be handicapped on, but you can't run quicker than that dial in without breaking out. If both break out, as happened here, he who breaks out by the least amount gets the win. Now this is one I've been waiting for. Paul DeBlane in the Falcon Utility, the defending champ, and he is up against Neil Constantinou in this very, very tidy late model Mustang.
Dial ins, both sides of the track here. The Ute for DeBlane is dialing in 8.59 seconds. The Mustang is 8.00 seconds. The whole shot goes to Paul DeBlane because it is a red light from Neil Constantinou on the start line by 1/1000th of a second. Paul Doblain wins it with an 8.57 at 260 kilometres an hour. Neil Constantiniou goes 7.97 seconds beside him, but it was all on the start line.
The Sunoco replay will show us, so with Doblain, an 0.24 reaction time was great, but Constantiniou, a thousandth of a second too quick. Then they both ran under their dial-ins. Would have been a double breakout, but Paul Doblain, the leader, the defending champ.
Yeah, mate, we've got Paul Doblain here. The number one's on the side of the car for a reason. You got yourself the first round, or the round win here. It's your third round of racing.
Yep, yeah, excellent. Thanks very much, guys. I'd just like to thank 400 Thunder, IHRA, Sydney Dragway, all the officials, my crew, Sharon, Shane, Sean, Nicole, and Brandon. And congratulations to Neil. He gave me a real tough final there. It's unbelievable. Just couldn't be more over. This is the first gold I've had down here for a long time. Thanks very much, guys.
That puts Paul Doblain in a good championship position after 3 rounds of Top Sportsman. Now we've got the Supercharged Outlaws final. A couple of alters with Peter Byrne and Paul Steffens. Steffens, this fat 57's customs back. Well, Hot Rod, he has dialed in at 6.8 seconds. Peter Byrne at 6.43, 0.37 of a second. Handicap start going to Paul Steffen on the far side.
Oh, it's a red light again, this time in Paul Steffen's lane. Hands the automatic win to Peter Byrne. He gets the win in the car altered and goes through, runs a 6.45, 349 kilometres an hour, and a 7.33 from Steffen at 263 kilometres an hour.
Well, Peter Byrne there, he actually left too soon as well, but guess what? It was Paul Steffen that did it first, so his is the red light that counts. And Peter Byrne, well, he was on a really nice run, a 6.45 on a 6.43 dial-in. That was always going to be tough to beat. And he now goes into the lead of the 400 Thunder Australian Supercharged Outlaws Championship.
Yeah, Peter Byrne, mate, he's just climbing out of the car. He's cheering, he's pumped up. What a win, it's been a tough day.
This has been an excellent day for us. Just a ripper day. I've got to thank Speed Gas, our sponsors. I've also got to thank John Gorsey, the owner for the car, for letting me drive this car. It's just an awesome car. And the rest of the team there for helping us out, because without a team, you just can't get anywhere. So for the whole team, this is for us. Hey, thank you very much.
I think Peter auditioning for the role of Black Stig there. We move now, Super Gas. This is a little bit different, Mark. They can break out, but they don't get to dial in. They are on a 9.900 fixed dial in, so it's a heads-up race. Pro start, that means one flash of the ambers, and they've just got to run as close as they can to 9.900 and hope they get there first.
Well, that's it. Basically, get to the finish line first. Don't go quicker than 9.90 seconds. And you are the winner as long as you've got a green light on the Christmas tree. Vince Panetta in front of us. Take on Raw Romeo in the far lane. Here it is, both cars in pre-stage. A little bit of a staging duel here in the final for Supergas. Romeo's in, Panetta's in.
Look like good lights both sides of the racetrack. They bring on their throttle stops to slow them down a bit. Then the throttles come wide open again. They charge for the finish line, and a 9.86 is too quick by too far. A 9.87, double breakout, but Panetta gets it by breaking out by the least amount.
There was absolutely nothing between these two guys. 1,000th of a second separated them on the start line. And then across the finish line, it was only 100th between the cars, but Romeo was too quick with that 9.86. Panetta went 9.87 as well. It was both cars too quick, but the lesser of the two was Panetta getting the win.
Now we've got something a little bit special. It's an exhibition bracket. This is not a championship category yet. They call it Pro Extreme. What is it? Well, have 4 wheels, a pair of doors, and basically run what you bring and hope you bring enough. I mean, we've got turbocharged V8s, 6 cylinders. We've got supercharged cars can run in Pro Extreme. We've got the lot. There is Rod Harvey, one of the quickest 6-cylinder cars in the world for UASA batteries. But what about this awesome Mustang of Greg Zacharidis?
Yeah, the Mustang of Greg Zacharidis is actually a turbocharged V8. This thing is fast. You're talking over 400 kilometers an hour from that V8. But the 6-cylinder car of Rod Harvey's as well. This thing is quick too. Both these cars in the 5-second zone. This is anyone's race here in the final of Pro Extreme. 6-cylinder versus 8-cylinder.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that a 6-cylinder can run and compete against this massive V8 in Zacharides' car. Well, Zacharides leaves hard, and I think that Rod Harvey was still building boost, and he was more worried about a time than a win. The win goes to Zacharides with a 6.72, but look at the time for Rod Harvey. 5.81, 416 kilometres an hour out of a 6-cylinder.
The Sunoco replay, this is what you call a classic whole shot win, because a 7-second pass from Zacharides gets him over a 5-second pass from Rod Harvey.
Have a look on the start line there. Lights went green at the same time, but Zacharides launched straight away. Rod Harvey waited. He ends up with a much faster time, but by then Zacharides was already long gone.
Moving in now to a final pass from top by Chris Matheson. We've seen him almost get off the start line on that last run. The conditions have gotten better and better here at Sydney Dragway, the Atlanta Oils East Coast Thunder meet. The Nitro Voodoo biker Chris Matheson, what have they learned from pass number 1 and pass number 2? They got it about 15-20 centimetres further down on pass 2. Can they get it off the start line this time? That's what the team will be aiming for. Tame this bike down, get it off the start line and see what the scoreboard comes up with.
Yeah, but what I loved about that second pass was the way he got back in it. I mean, it hauled straight up on the wheelie bar. He was using his body language to steer it because the front wheel was about 35 centimetres off the ground. And, I mean, this thing stays stuck. We know it's a 5-second bike. We've seen the incrementals. It gets to now at 1/8 of a mile. If it doesn't blow the tyre off the thing, it gets to 1/8 of a mile, showing easily the performance to run into the 5-second zone over the full quarter mile or 400-metre racetrack.
Not only does it easy, the increments point to like a 580 pass. It's got the power. It's got the power.
Better. Towards the wall. Very much towards the wall. 635, 313, and he had to roll that throttle or he was going to rub his elbow off. Man, it's all courage on 2 wheels.
Let's look at the Sunoco replay here. Break down the pass. It got out really strong to the 60-foot. Then the bike started making a little bit of a move over towards the wall there where you can see the wheels start to really pick up on the bike. And obviously when the wheels are in the air, you can't steer it that well. You can't really steer on top bike as it is. But he had to do the smart thing there, button it off. It still goes 6.3 seconds. This is stupid. That's nuts. You'll never get me on one of those bikes at all.
Yeah, well, I'll leave it to Chris Matheson, but I can't wait for the day that he cracks that magic 5-second he's chasing. Here is our round 3 of Pro Bike. It's Tony Frost. He's going to run on his own. He didn't have the points to make it into our major championship final, but on this solo pass, he'll pick up some win points and they will go to his championship tally.
Making a little bit of a move out of the groove there for Tony Frost, and I wonder if he missed gears or something there or dropped out of gear, because he was on a nice pass and then suddenly he was off the throttle. He's looking down at the bike there, rolls through for a 9-second pass, 149 kilometres per hour. Look at the Sunoco replay here. So the bike is edging the bike in, feet flat, on the revs, drops the clutch, heads towards the wall. Just see if I can hear anything.
Yeah, then that was about there that he did roll it off. Yep. But he's making good progress in this. As he's told us, just a small engine, but really enjoying being in this Pro Bike competition. Here's our final of Pro Bike. This is for a 400 Thunder Gold Christmas Tree Trophy and a stack of points. And the lead of the championship will go to whoever wins this pairing between Glenn Worcester and Daniel Rabnott.
Well, Glenn Worcester, what can you say? He went 6.99 seconds in the semi-finals of round 2 of Pro Bike. Only 300ths of a second off the national record for Glenn Worcester. That was very, very impressive. Daniel Rabnott, well, we heard from Rabnott being interviewed by Matt Kavanagh down the bottom end. They've got some new things on the bike that just not quite right this weekend. He's got a bit to do if he wants to get around Worcester here.
But it's been a good weekend for him. He's only a couple of points behind Worcester at this stage. Anything can happen. There was a whole shot on there for Rabnott. He got out in front. Worcester's got the horsepower to run round him though. A 7.04, 297 kilometres an hour, beats Rabnot 7.48. Your winner is Glenn Worcester.
These guys, they tried to make a decision. That was harder for you to do an interview than to even tune a bike. Well done.
I was trying to get around the back just then, actually, yeah. No,
congratulations.
We're stoked, we really are. We put so much work in last night. We're up until 2, fixing the bike. Had a few troubles with it, but once again, I'd like to thank Tigon Welding, Precision Porting, TBR Cylinder Heads, and especially Terry Emery, the boogeyman. He couldn't be here now. This one's for you, mate.
Well, you've got to give it to Daniel Rabnot. He did everything he could and grabbed a big hole shot. Had a nice lead at 8th mile, but as you said, the gearing's wrong and he couldn't bring it home, and that allowed Worcester to just blast past with that far, far superior terminal speed.
Yeah, take the positives out for Rabnot. Still went 7.48 on that pass. Get the gearing right. He's going to be right up there with the other teams as well. Watch out for the next round of Pro Bike.
Yeah, it took a while for Rabnot to disappear on the onboard shot from Glenn Worcester.
Yeah, we're quickly going to grab Glenn Worcester, who's down here. Mate, you got yourself a round win. Wasn't a fluke run in the 6.99. You were so close to 7.04.
I was wondering, it was moving that time down the top end. I just tried to get in, tucked in as hard as I could, and everything felt really good, but you just don't know. You're just hoping for the best. But look, everything's intact, and after the weekend, I've just got to thank all the sponsors, Force Wear Group, Willie Waste, all the guys have been on board, Luke Berry. And there's so many that help, Monstar Cylinder Heads, there's Stanford Tyres, there's just everyone to get us here and keeps us getting here. So I love it. Thank you for the weekend.
Well done, mate.
Okay, cheers. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, really well-deserved win there for Glenn Worcester. Puts him on top of the points table at this first round of our 400 Thunder Pro Bike Championship. 118 ahead of Daniel Rabnot's 99, Tony Frost and Scott White. And a lot more guys to come in to the round 2 of the championship up at Willowbank Raceway. It's the New Year's Thunder on January 4. Top Fuel Dragsters, Pro Alcohol, Pro Stock, and of course our Pro Bikes. They're all going to be there, along with a range of the sportsman categories and a mile of kids-free entertainment. That's what it's all about at Willowbank in January. Then we move back to Sydney Dragway for the Santos Summer Thunder. Top Fuel, Pro Slammer, but it's a sportsman extravaganza. Every sportsman category of 400 Thunder will be at that one. That's 2 great events coming up, but we haven't finished with the Atlantic Oil's East Coast Thunder yet. Next time, we're going to bring you all of the action from Pro Slammer. Paul Mahat, the defending champ, isn't defending. It opened the door for a number of other teams. All sorts of things went on. Make sure you join us next time to catch all of that. Today, though, you can't take it away from Glenn Worcester into the 6-second zone and grabs a gold Christmas tree in the process. Absolutely well-deserved by an awesome team of motorcyclists.
Coming up after the break, we head to Wind Stadium in Wollongong for round 3 of the Australian Supercross Championship for 2019.